right, guys, how you doing? It's good to be back. It's been a while since we've been able to do a live. And tell you, we're super excited about bringing you guys some news and updates and stuff like that. So, really quick, guys, if you can, tell me in the comment section where you're watching from, and while you're at it, please hit that share button. Let's get this out to the groups, man. We got a lot to talk about today. A lot of stuff we haven't been able to bring you up to speed on because Facebook put me in prison. So go ahead and hit that share button, and let's get this out to your groups. Please take note that there is a parental advisory at the top of the screen. There's a reason for that, because we're all adults and we say things that children might not want to be around to hear. All right, so that's a thing. Guys, today we're going to jump in with John, Andy. We're going to talk a little bit about Cav. We're going to talk with Mike Lavis and Chris Anders, and we're going to talk a little bit about scenarios. We're going to talk a little bit about standards, same stuff as always, and some of the stuff that we're running into, with standard reenactorisms and things like that. So we're going to address some of that here, as well as some sutlers. And I do have somebody I'd like to introduce to you, a new member of the organization. I'm excited to have brought her aboard. I'd like her to figure out her phone so she can get on here, and we'll jump right into it. So if you are seeing on my page, it looks like, all right, Jeremy, I can see you. Thanks for jumping in. I can't see who you are, Facebook user. If you can, just put your name on there so I can see who we're talking to. I would appreciate that. Bicknell, Indiana, Seminary Ridge. Perfect. All right. Well, Lisa's here, but she's not here. All right. So, guys, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to jump right in here. I'm going to bring John and Chris in. Hey, guys, how's it going? How are y'all doing this fine evening?
Hey, everybody.
It's going great. Every time I see that parental advisory sticker up there, it reminds me of my days as a rapper on the West Coast.
Yeah.
That is a joke.
But I could hear you tearing it up. Come on. Let's hear some bars.
I'm a Johnny Cash guy, so no. We'll go with no.
Okay. So we are waiting for Mike Lavis to jump in. He's having some technical issues, just like always. So while he's trying to figure that out, we'll get rocking and rolling here. Go ahead, keep posting in the comment section where you're from, and also please hit that share button, guys. Can't emphasize that enough. There's a million groups out there that I don't even know about, so you can share this out and get this out there to your group. So, guys, what's been going on, man? So, John, let's start with you. What's happening in the wonderful world of Cav?
I mean, all kinds of really great things. I want to say the past 3 weeks now, ever since you did that walkthrough, and a lot, Chris and Mike and all you guys went and did that walkthrough, and you checked out the new cavalry site. It's logistically a fantastic site. It's a great site for number one in our mindset is horse care, making sure that the horses are taken care of. They're in the most pristine spot when it comes to shade, water, availability to, God forbid we have any type of emergency issue. Boom, we can get right on a road and we can go seek medical care. I mean, I love it. A lot of the people on my staff think it's a great site. Don't think about it so much as a shared camp, as there's going to be plenty of separation. You won't even know that one cavalry group is next to another. And Dustin, I mean, you were on site. You can kind of explain that a little bit better.
Oh, man. Yeah, so what's really exciting about the Cav side of this whole thing, initially we weren't even going to use that side of the road. There's issues that you have to contend with, like, crossing the street with, infantry or dismounted Cav or, horses or anything to that effect. So, that raises issues. But we hired an excellent security team who is taking care of road crossings and parking, things like that. So we felt that it was a great opportunity to open that other side of the road up. And having done that, and that puts you guys right on Marsh Creek. I hear the kiddo back there. I put you right on Marsh Creek, and Cav, you guys get to drink fresh water right out of the stream. That's a perfect situation. And it puts you guys all in a wooded area. And what's really nice is where the U.S. Cav is, you guys are completely separated down on the backside of a hill. You won't be seeing your vehicles and Cav trailers and things like that. And then on the other side, it's CS Cavs in like their own little world over there. They're kind of in a cubby hole where it's surrounded by trees, but then inside of that is like this huge, flat, perfectly flat, soft meadow. I mean, really, it's the perfect situation when it comes to cavalry. I don't think you guys could possibly do any better. You're muted, Mr. John.
Sorry. A screaming 2-year-old in the background. So the campsite, I think, is a great location logistically. What we're gearing up for, what we have is Gay Davis. She's running the medical side for the horses, the emergency response for that. So any medical questions and stuff like that, please refer to her. But it's a team effort between everybody on our staff, and we're finding. We found I believe it's a veterinary hospital at Slippery Rock for extreme emergency only. I think that's 31 miles away. We're also getting a veterinarian on standby, and we'll be able to. That was another thing I wanted to add tonight with the accommodations that we're making for all of our mounted participants. They're at all the major sectors for, let's say it's Cav Camp, let's say it's Sutler Row or Medical, or any of the command areas. So like Chris's command area or Mike Lavis's command area, there will be an extra picket line or a picket post. So that way, let's say we had to take a ride up to, Chris's headquarters, and we're riding horses, and we need somewhere to tie up. We'll have an extra spot to be able to tie up. Or let's say Chris had to ride over for some reason over to Mike Lavis's camp. He's going to be able to do that, ride up there, and have an extra line. So we're going to have those type of things in place logistically. And also at Medical, we are going to have a corral set up, and it's going to have multiple purposes. One is for day-to-day use for people that want to go to Sutler Row. So what we don't want having, and this is going to be strictly enforced, horses will not be allowed down Sutler Row. If you are riding your horse down Sutler Row, you will be asked to leave. I don't think we're going to have any issue with that. What we're going to do, though, to alleviate that is we'll have a corral set up with tie-ups, so you can tie your horse in that corral, and you can safely, not have your horse exposed to, spectators and stuff like that. One thing we are asking is use the buddy system when you use that corral. Go up there with 3 guys, 2 get off. Another one's hanging out with the horses. He can be on the floor. He can be on the ground in the corral. But what we're asking is somebody at least stand there and monitor your horses while the other guy's going to Sutler Row. You come back, you do the buddy system. That guy goes in while the other guys are watching his horse. I don't think that's too much to ask people. Trying to think what else.
Well, one of the other things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was the dismounted calf, Chris? We haven't really had an opportunity to talk about a lot of this stuff because you've been away on business and then also hunting and doing all kinds of things. So we really haven't had a chance to touch base. But what's your take on dismounted calf camping with the actual calf, or do you feel that these guys should be camping with the infantry?
Well, I think they should definitely be camping with the cavalry. That's who their chain of command is. One quick thing I want to back up and talk to John about. When we lay out our infantry camps, one thing I've seen that's been a problem before is people will go tearing on horses past stacked muskets down through infantry camp. We can't have that.
Nope.
That is a major safety hazard. I actually saw someone lose control of the horse and back through a musket stack. Thankfully, they didn't fall on it. So that was not it. Unfortunately, that was about 2 years ago. But the idea is I'm going to set up the infantry camps and make sure that there are clear roads that, if you're riding through, you can ride through there. But if anybody on a horse, I don't want them riding anywhere near any stacked muskets. It's dangerous for the muskets, it's dangerous for the horse, it's dangerous for the people. But I've seen it happen. A lot of people cowboy it up, and we can't have that.
No, absolutely not. And there needs to be a respect in all camps, whether it's infantry, whether it's artillery, or your own camp. If you're showboating and you think you're going to be tearing through some camp, that you got another thing coming,
right?
Because somebody's going to probably report you, and you're going to have a sit down, because that we cannot afford anybody to get hurt. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't want to see anybody's horse getting hurt. But if you want to act like an asshole, and that's why I like that little sticker up there.
I thought we were just saying, good thing we got that one.
If you want to be an asshole and you want to go gallivanting around and showboating, and this isn't just for cab guys. This is also for the infantry officers who, hey, I want to rent a horse this weekend, and I got a little bit of fire underneath my ass, and I want to go tearing around. Hey, it's not safe. Somebody's saying about the Perryville, what happened there with guys fixing bayonets. There's a lot of conflicting stories about that. We don't know exactly what I wasn't there, Chris. I don't think you were there. But
no, I wasn't there. I mean, the big thing I think is looking at the scenarios we have and the way the event's set up. There's not going to be mounted cav charging infantry. It's just not, so we won't have to worry about that part,
No, and I don't know who posted that, play stupid games and get stupid prizes. Yes, and that's what I emphasize to not just cav people, but everyone mounted at this event is, Dustin can go about, on this, about what we're doing for pyrotechnics. And Chris, you have plenty of experience dealing with pyrotechnics, the volatility of these charges. It takes one guy. Again, it takes one asshole to ruin thousands of dollars of pyrotechnics. We cannot afford, your officers and people in command. They will break down. Hey, this is a go area. We'll be able to fight in here and do saber charges and all that stuff, but it will be laid out in one way or another where the pyrotechnics are and where the no-go areas are. If you blatantly go riding through that area and your officer says, hey, I told that guy not to go riding through there, and he went riding through there, and we had to blow, $5,000 worth of pyrotechnics, guess what? You're probably going to be asked to leave.
Right. I mean, the thing is, Dustin and all the organizers are working way too damn hard on this event. To have somebody show up, break the rules, screw things up, get hurt, and send the event on a skid. We won't have that. We're not being hard asses, but we're not going to have, one individual decide to screw the pooch for, everybody else at the event. It's just not going to happen. Just like if somebody shows up and wants to wear modern sunglasses and Reeboks in the field, we're not going to let that happen either.
No.
Because we're not going to let some Fruit Loop screw up the event for everybody else who's playing along. So, it's everybody, there's always outliers and people who are in this hobby for themselves more than they are for history and for working with other people and portraying what actually happened. If you're in the hobby for yourself to play like some sort of samurai cowboy warrior, this is not the event for you. Sorry. Okay.
Don't come in here showboating. First of all, I think what people have a problem with, and I think this is in reenacting in general, you step away from the mainstream and the hardcore, the campaigners or immersion, whatever. You guys know that I don't like these titles, but regardless, what it comes down to is ego. There's way too much ego involved in this. And the fact of the matter is we're portraying the 1863 time period. There are certain things that were there in 1863, and there's certain things that were not. We're just asking that you do your very best to reach for that standard and reach a little higher than what you're used to. That's what we want, because educating the public properly, it takes all of us putting forth a good effort. I seen some pictures come out of Perryville that were just like, do they not have standards at all? I mean, I'm not bashing them. I'm not doing that.
It's crazy because reenactors have been taught that there's rules and regulations published for every event and nobody enforces them. So they kind of, become the wild, wild west. But that's not how this event is built and set up. It's published as a rule. On the rules and regulations, it's going to be enforced. Just like, okay, if you look at me right now, I normally have a beard. Unfortunately, I do a lot of 18th century stuff and I have to shave. So I shave to go to the reenactment Battle of Brandywine, and I show up, and there's everywhere I look, people running around in beards in the 18th century. Michael, Buffalo Bill.
Okay, Mike, you've got to do one of two things. You've got to turn your microphone down. You're getting a lot of feedback. Or your speakers. Turn your speakers down.
Wow, that's painful, Michael.
Yep,
okay,
that's got.
Yeah, that something's got. But the other question, I saw a question pop up. It said, "Will civilians be camping in the military camps or in the civilian-only camp?" And the short answer is, well, yes. There's going to be, garrison camps where if civilians want to camp with the military in that organization does that, yes, you can. I know in the Confederate camp area, we're going to have a campaigner area, which will be campaigners only. And any civilians that are in that area will be in a refugee area. They won't be mixed in with the military. Okay. There will be a garrison camp area. And some units like to have only military there, and some like the camp mixed with the family. That's up to them. And I'm also going to set aside a civilian area within the Confederate camp. I think Mike's doing the same thing on the federal camp. Here he comes to see if we get feedback. I think he's okay.
He's muted.
And if you want to camp strictly civilian and you want to be in a civilian-only area, there you go. All right. So we're making the event that, however you want to wish, as long as it's not in a flaming orange pop-up non-period tent. Okay, you have to be in a period tent with, all modern acronyms hidden. Okay, you have to be in a period tent with,
Let's listen to you all over again.
Okay, you have to be in a period tent with, we're getting feedback big time from Mr. Lavis.
Yeah.
I know. Am I coming through okay? Is that better?
Well, we can hear ourselves talking like 30 seconds after we say it. Well, we can hear ourselves.
It's like the Twilight Zone. It's awesome.
It really is. It's awesome.
It's like the Twilight
Mike, you maybe have it on your phone as well as up on your computer. That's
no, I'm just.
I like to listen to myself, but this is a bit much.
Yeah. All right. I just muted you, Mike. We can't hear you talking, so you've got to turn your speakers down, guys. While he's figuring this out, I'm going to go ahead and put Lisa's pretty face up here as she's laughing, guys. This is Lisa Butler. She is the PCWA. She is the new PCWA fundraising coordinator, and let me tell you guys, she is awesome. We put her in yesterday, and she's been going just balls to the wall with crazy, awesome ideas for fundraising and things like that. So anybody that has any questions or anything that pertains to fundraising, if you want to help fundraise, you want to be part of Lisa's team, please reach out to Lisa. you can probably get her on Facebook, and if make sure you put a message that you're this is in regards to the Civil War reenactment. But Lisa is our newest member. She's an outstanding human being, a good friend, and she is highly qualified for this position. So welcome to the group there, Lisa. We're super happy to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. I do a lot of fundraising, and so I know it's one of the hardest jobs out there. So thank you for joining the team. And if Mike, tell you what, if Mike has sound issues, what he can do is do charades for us, and we'll find out here in a second when he comes live. He's muted right now.
I got him muted. I'll take him off. Let's try this again. Hello, echo.
Mike, did that work better?
Holy shit!
Yep.
Congratulations. Welcome.
That's
to
awesome.
Welcome to the group.
I still have my desktop downstairs that I was using to switch over to this account for my Facebook, to switch from mine to my wife's on my wife's computer. So then I realized it was still running downstairs, so I ran downstairs and turned it off.
Okay. So one of the things that people keep asking me, and it's all the time. I mean, really, it's all the time. It's I get a lot of questions about civilian stuff. There is a living history encampment, and you guys have a beautiful area to set up. I mean, it is beautiful. It's flat. It's right by the stream. You got shade by the trees. That's right there by the stream. Really, it's an excellent place. You're right by the settlers. You're right by the demonstration area. I mean, so it's perfect. You're kind of smack dab in the middle. So I'm going to be leaning heavily on you living history folks in that camp to be bringing quality presentations. But please emphasize on accuracy. Research what you're doing, okay? Make sure that what we're putting out to these spectators is quality, educational, and accurate information, okay? That's the biggest thing that we want here. In terms of authenticity and things like that. So you guys must be seeing comments that I'm not even seeing on here, unless these things are blowing past me. Yeah, because she said thank you to Steve Dunn, and I have no idea what he said. You guys seeing
stuff from my wife's computer? I'm getting all kinds of sewing and spinning things on here.
Okay. So guys, if you're commenting and I'm not seeing it, I apologize. I'll just get to it later. I can answer your questions. But if you do have questions, please go ahead and post them up here in the comment section. Also, if you guys are just joining us, please hit that share button and get this out to your groups. All right, so let's jump into scenarios and things like that. I'm getting a lot of questions about, hey, what are we doing for scenarios? So Mike, let's start with you, man. What are we doing? What are we doing here for our 3-day scenario?
Okay, we're doing, for those who've been to our events before, you're going to get a good mixture. We're going to do a couple defense in depth or long drawn out, covering a lot of ground scenarios. And there's going to be a couple in tight slugfest. We're going to do East Cemetery Hills, so there will be one that ends after dark. We always do one that either starts before dawn or ends after dark. And
now that's reenactor only, right?
Yeah,
that's just for the guys.
Is that how we're doing that, Chris? Chris is nodding his head. His mouth is full. Okay.
He's probably eating bear.
Yeah. And we're gonna do 4 battles over 3 days. What we found was that if you started adding too many fights and too many pointless tacticals, there's a direct relationship with how many people are around Sunday for the final large battle with how much you work them during the weekend before. So we do one extra per day. So if we have 2-day battles, a 2-day event, we're going to do 3 battles. This is going to be a 3-day event, so we'll have 4 battles, but we're not going to be beating people up.
Right. We're trying to make it so you guys get one really good quality battle in a day instead of having to rush in 2 hour-long battles. You're out there sweating. You're about to die in the heat. We just want one good quality, battle per day. It might last a little longer than an hour. But correct me if I'm wrong, Chris and Mike, what we're talking about doing here is not just bringing guys out to the field. and lining the Confederates up on one side and lining the Union guys up on the other side. And they sit there looking at each other for the next half an hour, baking in the sun before somebody decides to step off. What's going to happen is the way it probably would have happened organically, right? So there's going to be battlefield activities that just kind of start happening. And then it's going to kind of build momentum on that. So next thing you know, you will start seeing infantry moving in. You might not have even seen them forming or whatever. They might be formed in the woods or something. Whatever it is, it's just going to kind of happen organically. Is that about what we're looking for?
That's right. First of all, we build our scenarios based upon unit-specific actions, okay? And we're not going to start, like a good friend of mine, Bob Denton, used to say that a lot of Civil War reenactments reminded him of two beach whales hitting each other with their flippers, okay? It looks dumb. It is dumb. And, that's not what actually happened. So we will start with whatever was the correct pieces to have on the field, okay? That most cases, one side may be occupying the field, the other side's not to be seen. I know even with the artillery, we're not going to start with them sitting on their butt waiting for something to happen, okay? They're going to have to be pushed in, pulled in, drug in, all in period fashion, and deployed, okay? We're not going to start with a bunch of guns facing a bunch of other guns. That's dumb, okay? That's not what happened, okay? So if you're on the Confederate side, I can tell you we do have, I think, 2 horse-drawn guns, maybe more. But the other guns that, aren't horse-drawn, well, guess what? We're going to grab infantry and we're going to drag them into the fight. And they're going to be screened. It's like setting a stage for a play. You don't start with everybody standing on the stage looking at each other. That's dumb. Okay, so we're going to do whatever was historical and do it in historical fashion and build the fights properly. Like, for example, on Friday, the first day's action, we reoriented the action and drove Dustin nuts, but we reoriented the action so that we can have a long flowing battle rather than, run everybody out in the field, blast away, and that's it. So there's going to be a lot of maneuver. The Federals will be withdrawing on several positions while the Confederates are slowly feeding the fight. So it's, and always tell people when they come to one of our events, if you're in reserve, don't worry, you're going to get in. If you're in first, you're not going to be there the whole time. I mean, they fed the fight back then. We're going to feed the fight now. So to be a much more realistic experience. And I'm going to take a bite of food and stop pontificating and let Mike take over.
Yeah, well, to talk specifically about Friday, one of the trademarks that Chris and I developed over the years was that we don't start the main battle too early the first day. We want the units to form their companies, form their battalions, get drilled what we need them to do throughout the rest of the day. Visit the settlers, visit their buddies, they're here to visit, people you haven't seen in a while. You got all morning on Friday, you'll have all morning to do all that. And the battalion commanders get battalions. In the meantime, the cavalry's going out because they were out there first. Yeah, John, you guys are going to love this. We're going to put you guys out. You can post your pickets. You can get everything set, get your plate. We'll show you, we'll have staff people showing you where your fallback positions are going to be. All that'll happen while we got the infantry getting ready. I haven't touched a thing. I didn't touch anything. Don't blame me on that one.
That was my fault.
Of course.
And then when it's
Mike.
time for the infantry to get involved, it will be, like Chris said, it'll be fed in realistically and time appropriate. And the whole thing will start out by Hare's Ridge, and it will end at Seminary Ridge. One of the things we're going to incorporate for Friday is we're going to do the Seminary Ridge line and attack, which has not been reenacted before. But that allows us to line up the whole Federal Army and all the cannons and keep the cavalry on the left flank, and everybody's going to be involved. So, for instance, getting back to the cavalry, when the cavalry falls back, they're going to fall back to the left of the line where Buford's men were, and they're going to hold the left of our line. And we'll get everybody lined up. Some will fall back fighting to there. We'll get everybody lined up, and then Chris will be pushing that line with 2 separate waves, Hess Division and then Penders.
Right. And
Let's-
Mike, you touched on something with that, and that is, a lot of times when you go as a consumer to an event, and I've gone to events, you end up you're out on the field and you see the enemy, but your commander's like, no, you don't see them, they're off stage, and that's the dumbest thing ever. Okay, it's dumb beyond dumb. It drives me nuts. So the way we set our scenarios up, it's stupid. So the way we set our scenarios up is when the guys in blue see something in gray, shoot it. And when the guys in gray see something in blue, guess what? Shoot it. Okay. So we set the battlefields up historically correct. I mean, they did not all march out in the wheat field and go, well, I'm waiting for General Lee or General Meade to tell us we can start shooting. Okay. That's not how it worked. And that's not how it's going to work here.
Yeah, we really avoid having 2 lines of battle standing there at shoulder arms or, at support arms, shoulder arms, or whatever, staring at each other from 50 yards away and nobody doing a thing. That does not happen at our events. It will not happen.
See,
Yeah,
now, how do you guys feel about fixing bayonets, like, for infantry coming across the field, things like that? No, don't like the idea?
Not on an event of this size. I've done immersion events where, there's 50, 100 people there, and we've done that. Just like loading with ramrods, I've done that too. However, this event is a much bigger event, and we have to play to the lowest common denominator and go, we don't know. Maybe somebody's new to the hobby. There's thousands of people here. We can't have you ramming, and we can't have you fixing bayonets. And that includes, God forbid, I see a rubber bayonet, because every time I watch the movie Gettysburg and you see them run across the field and the bayonets going like this.
Are you serious?
Oh, God, I hate that.
Oh, God, it's horrible. Don't do that. I will personally walk over and beat you with my shoe. Okay?
Yeah, once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's the first thing you see anytime you ever watch the movie.
No, like I saw Dustin earlier today, someone sent you a message asking about individuals registering and then finding a home for them. Well, there's no way we can do quality control over individuals coming in. We can get them with a good company and a good sergeant who can make sure they know how to box their feet and fire, things like that. But you still don't really know what you're going to get when people just walking in. So the best way of doing it is just not do it. We just won't have bayonets out there. We won't have rammers. It's just going to be safer overall. Too many variables out there.
That doesn't mean we won't have some highly intense scenarios either. There will be times, and let me explain this for a second. Whenever Mike and I do an event together, before every scenario, there is a combined walkthrough where every officer, battalion commander, and above shows up on both sides, and we walk to the field. And we go, hey, Dustin, you're going to take on John. This is your spot on the field. Here is the battle plan. This is what you do, okay? So, so we do a complete walkthrough. We've never had a scenario go bad. I'm knocking on wood right now, okay? But the intent is to have good, solid scenarios, which means the officers have to work harder. They have to go to more meetings. Guess what? You're wearing the stars, the bars, or the stripes. You go. You're working for everybody below you. We look at the as a servitude leadership. Now, there will be times when units do get heavily engaged at close quarters. Because we have these walkthroughs, we will take those 2 commanders from both sides and walk up and say, okay, guys, this is where you're at, whether it might be a capturing of a flag, it might be some hand-to-hand, but you're going to know each other. We are dance partners in this performance, and we can't have one person go off the rails. But there will be some intense moments, but they will be scripted. The commanders will know what's going on, and they will be highly controlled, but they will be very intense.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to add something for Friday. Backtrack just a little bit. With what you were saying, Chris, with the intensity and stuff like that. for the guys that are going to be the mainstay federal mounted troopers, the dismounted federal troopers, and the guys that are galvanizing, one, I hope you eat your Wheaties because you're going to be riding your asses off. I cannot say we have probably one of the most badass federal cavalry commanders that I've ever ridden with. If you've ever ridden with Steve Dacus or you've heard the legend of Steve Dacus, I mean, it's be ready to try. I mean, that's probably the slowest he'll go all weekend. Again, horseman, safety, you know, I'm kind of, what's the word, facetious, however you pronounce that, you know, we're going to be riding. This isn't a dog and pony show. We're not going to walk everywhere. We're going to be riding.
Dismounted guys are going to be walking everywhere.
Yeah. Now,
Exactly.
yes, the dismounted guys are going to be walking. If you're mounted, we have a lot of ground to cover for all the different scenarios we're looking at. You know, first day being Buford's, second day, again, it's question mark. We're looking at Battle of Fairfield. Third day, East Cav Field. East Cav Field, we're going to have a lot of ground to cover. And again, both sides, eat your Wheaties. Get prepared.
My thing I was going to say on that is it's not just the cavalry. Look at the infantry. You're going to cover a lot of ground.
Yes.
This is a big place.
Right. So the idea is, and I pound this into people's brain, you don't need to be able to run a marathon. But at the same time, you have how many months between now and June to go, every pound I drop and every minute I spend in cardio means I can, you know, have a better time at the event. Now, I am not the world's skinniest dude, and I'm not going to want everybody to look like, you know, 135-pound Confederate soldiers. No way. I'm saying for your personal enjoyment, okay? If you can spend time doing a little cardio, dropping a few pounds, it's June. Guess what? Temperatures are warm, okay? If you want to have a better event and you want your friends around you not to have to, you know, for them to have a better event because they're not carrying you off the field, you know, do what you can to get yourself in shape. I mean, the hobby's aging. I know I'm aging. Don't tell anybody that. But, you know, I'm not Peter Pan. Thank God I don't look good in tights. But the idea is, you know, that we have, you know, guys, we can get yourselves in better shape than what you are currently. We have the winter in front of us, okay? We got Thanksgiving and Christmas. Please, you know, don't eat 14 pumpkin pies. But you need to get your endurance up. You know, every pound you can drop is a pound you can carry. I know a lot of the Confederate guys, I'm going to encourage you, if you can, go in heavy marching order, if you can. Because guess what? They did, okay? We saw something about hydrate. Yes, you know, and we'll talk about this as we get closer. Don't be drinking beer every night before the event. That will dehydrate you. You know, don't be sitting in air conditioning every day before the event. Go out and walk around. You know, get used to the climate. It gets warm. I know it's getting colder now, you know, but I mean, do what you can personally. You know, one of the best things you can do is get yourself in a slightly better shape. I'm not saying perfect shape. I'm not saying running marathons. Trust me, I'm not doing that. I mean, I blew out my knee several years ago doing martial arts. And, you know, I'm not in the shape I was then because I can't do what I used to do. But at the same time, I do my best to maintain decent weight, get my endurance up, because the enjoyment of the people around me depends upon whether or not I decide to go belly up in the middle of the scenario and they have to take me off the field. So I just encourage everybody, you know, John's talking about it, but with the cavalry, infantry, you're going to be humping. You're going to be covering some distance, okay? And if you really want to enjoy the event, get yourself in a little better shape to do so.
Yeah, it's good advice, man.
Yeah, and to that point, Chris, same thing with the infantry, with the cavalry. Yeah, we're going to be covering ground. So get your horses in shape. Do not show up to Gettysburg being being the first time you rode your horse all year. If you're asking for a colic, there you go. That's a colic and a half. You bring out a horse to a 3-day event, an intense 3-day event at the end of June, beginning of July, and you don't think bad things are going to happen, you're not, you're not that good of a horseman. So we're asking people to be smart. We're laying out our criteria for horses, what we're going to be asking people when they show up. Again, we're reserving the right to, if you show up and your horse looks like it's about to die, we reserved a right to say, yes, you can come into the event. You can put your horse on the picket line. We're going to tag you and we're going to flag you saying your horse cannot take the field. If we deem that it's not suitable for that animal's well-being, and yeah, Steve, you're saying it's, same sort of thing at Brandy Station. We got a great series of different events going on that are horse oriented, with Steve Dunn and the War Horse Brigade at Brandy Station a couple of weeks before. They're going to be the same kind of criteria as this event when it comes to horse safety and horsemanship.
To be successful in anything, you have to plan, prepare, act, and then evaluate. Okay.
Yep.
We're in the planning stage right now. Okay. We're planning everything. But if you're coming as just a participant and you don't have to go to a million meetings like we go to all the time, thank you, Dustin. I like going to Gettysburg. But the thing is, and I don't mind. I don't mind earning the time. I don't mind earning the right to lead the Confederate force by spending a lot of time in meetings. You have to earn this. It's servitude leadership. But the thing is, we're planning. You guys should start preparing. Okay, you need to look at your gear right now and go, what might I need come Gettysburg? Do I need a new canteen strap because this one looks like something out of Andersonville? I mean, is it going to give up the ghost? Do my shoes need to be resoled? Do I have new? If you get new shoes, for God's sake, strap them to your feet, stand in a 5-gallon bucket, and spend the day mowing your yard or walking around till they eventually fit your feet and oil the devil out of them. Don't show up with a new pair of shoes and decide to, destroy your feet at the event. This is the preparation. Then we'll act, and trust me, afterwards we'll all get together and we'll have an evaluation. But the point I'm trying to make is we're planning things. Then you got to prepare yourself and prepare the site and prepare the horses, prepare your gear to enjoy. Napoleon said that, winning a battle, the majority of it was getting the right troops to the right place at the right time with the right attitude and the right mindset to achieve victory. And that's what we're trying to do by having a lot of videos, is trying to get you guys to understand, that you have to be prepared with the right mindset and understand what you're going into and prepare yourself and your friends.
So I just got a question in private message that I think we definitely need to address this, because it's something I catch a little bit of heat on. People someone just asked me, hey, Dustin, is it true that we have to stay in our gear for the entire weekend? You don't, to be specific, you don't have to stay in your gear the entire weekend, but I would like you to stay in period dress as much as possible. Now, if you want to sleep in your tent in your SpongeBob SquarePants pajamas, by all means, go ahead and do that. But keep it in your tent, okay? Because what you have, Chris, cut it out. What you have is, you're killing me, Smalls.
Don't give him ideas. He's tough enough as it is.
I'm going to wear my Barat Speedo then for you guys, okay?
Yeah.
But the idea, go over to the camp.
Don't you dare show up in my camp in those.
No, okay.
I mean, the point is, I think you're making a very valid point, Dustin, and that is, we don't want. I mean, each unit can decide whether or not they're going to keep, in gear. I know a lot of our campaigner units and stuff will probably be deployed out running pickets all weekend and stuff like that. Steve's on fat troopers and fat horses would not do well at the event. I didn't say that. Stephen Dunn did. You can blow him up on Facebook later. So the idea is, if you're in camp and it's hot, I mean, I know at the 150th Manassas, was anybody down that sweat fest? There was a point when I'm literally found a stream behind my camp, and there's me and about 600 naked Confederates flopping around the stream cooling off because it was 122-degree heat index. It was hateful. I'm not going to go into anybody's tent and see what they're wearing in there. That's the last thing I want to do. That's the last absolute thing I want to spend my weekend on. But if you're in Confederate camp, I will say you can't walk around, in outside of your tent in Speedos, SpongeBob, Crocs, or whatever craziness you're doing. This is a military camp. I'm sure the civilians don't want you walking around in nothing but a Speedo and Crocs either. But if you want to sit in your tent and do as you wish, that's fine. It stays in your tent. I mean, that's my 2 cents. What you do in your tent is none of my business.
Hey, Rick, why don't you click the link and jump in here, man? We haven't heard anything out of artillery in too long. We got to get an update from you. So I'm going to post the link in the comments section. Click that link, dude, and jump in here for a few minutes if you can. All right.
I just wanted to add some quick stuff on Cav things. I got a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to jump off here. With discussions, Dustin, that you and I, Chris, we really haven't had the chance to talk about this, but with the Confederate guys, whether it be mounted or dismounted, galvanizing for the Friday scenario, we're working really hard on amending and getting things prepared for those guys to galvanize. We're going to be setting up logistics with already established federal groups to, if you have an extra Sharps carbine, if you have an extra Smith, if you have proper gear that these guys can wear instead of them carrying Confederate, accoutrements, we're going to set that up. Also, if you want to get in a group buy, we're going to get some really great settlers to make federal stuff just for the guys who want to galvanize and try to get it to you at the cheapest price, but the best quality. And yeah, I could go out there and buy Pakistani polyester and get everybody outfitted for $400. But guess what? You're going to look like Barney, the purple dinosaur, and look like dog shit. Chris, you know that the purple dye I'm talking about.
I absolutely know that purple dye, and I'm not a fan of Barney. Even as
I don't think anybody is, and what we're trying to do is help our brothers in arms, help our fellow reenactors, and also put on the best show we possibly can. And I can't stress this enough. We cannot do it without your support. Without you guys getting together and sharing gear, or, hey, you know what? I'm not using this Smith carbine anymore. I had my dad's Sharps. I don't use it anymore. I'll sell it for $300 or something like that. Help the next guy up. Don't. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you and me both, brother. But again, we cannot do it without your support. So we have that, and another project that we're working on. I got 2 minutes left. Another project that we're working on is building these wells for the horses for potable water. So each, or as Gay Davis wants me to say, potable water. But she's from Philly, so it would be water. So what we're going to have is these wells built, and they're going to house about 400 gallons on the ground in all the vital locations. These are for horse drinking only. We're going to need help building these. I have a lot of the material here at my place in Eastern PA, but we're going to need help. We're going to have parties building this stuff and putting these wells together and then getting them on site and then completing construction on them. We're going to need about 12 of these built to make sure, because we're striving the best we can to hide all the modern stuff. We're going to need help doing this. Also, we're going to try to, hide the porta-johns. We're going to build palisades to hide them. We're going to need work weekends to build that stuff. Dustin's been out there. Dustin, how many times have you been out to the event site so far? Just spitballing.
20 plus more? I don't know.
20 sometimes, and we're 9 months out. So guys, we're going to have a ton of work weekends. I can't stress enough with getting out there. Are these wells going to be refillable? Yes, they are. So they're going to be built in such a way where we're again working with logistics. We're looking at 2 refills a day. So when everybody's out at battle or you're out at training, that's when the well truck's going to come in, dump water, you come back in for lunch or whatever it may be. You don't see that tractor coming through or the pump truck coming through pumping poop or dumping water or pumping water and dumping poop. I don't know. But anyways, we're gonna do it. We're gonna have plenty of drop offs for water and do that rotation. So yes, we're gonna have plenty of water on the ground for animals.
The other thing is
it's gonna be potable water, but just for horses.
Yeah, and the other thing too is we are going to have water supplies actually hidden throughout the battlefield, okay, to ensure that you are never like 100 yards or less, away from water at all times. We're going to your health and safety is paramount, but you'll never see them, but you'll know where to look and you'll know where to go to get water if you're out there, you're running out. So what we really want to push on you guys is emphasize is hydrating. We're gonna talk about this over the next 8.5, 9 months because it's the most important thing. We don't want any casualties, any heat casualties, any type of casualties at all. Okay, so we're going to be doing a lot of weapons inspections. We're going to be doing a lot of canteen inspections. That's all on your leadership and your squad leaders, things of that nature. Of course, did I just drop like a modern? I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you
squad
did.
leaders.
He's squad leaders, yeah.
Okay.
You're in timeout.
Buddy. Is there any other tab stuff that you wanted to go over with me?
I don't think so. You're good to go, brother.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me, and talk to you all soon. Fellas, have a great night.
Take care. We'll see you later, bud.
Yeah,
all right, catch you later.
One thing I've mentioned a lot on here, and I want everybody who's watched the video to understand, is that Dustin and Mike and John and Steve Dunn and many others and Tiny Dawson and others are working their butt off to put this event together, right? but unless you take personal ownership of the event for yourself and prepare for it, we're in trouble. I mean, without the reenactors, showing up and buying into the vision and participating, you'd have me, Mike, Dustin, and Andy sitting in the middle of a field hitting each other with pool noodles. So the thing is, we don't want to do that.
No.
So we're asking everybody, take personal ownership. There will be work days. I know when I did Maryland with Michael, what we did is we had work days and reenactors would show up and they would put sweat equity into the event. The more sweat equity and the more preparation you put in, the better the result is. Okay.
Absolutely.
So there'll be calls for that. While I would love to sit on my rear near Harper's Ferry and let Dustin do all the work, I know I'm going to be up there. So we'll be up there, everything I imagine from firewood to clearing brush. It's going to be a lot of work. So
right, we need to help. And listen, there's guys coming out. The 72nd Pennsylvania is coming out in force to drill that for the weekend that they're coming out there, but also we're going to put them to work. So that's the trade-off. They're going to get to drill on the site and camp on the site, but we're going to work at the same time. Guys, keep in mind too, we've got 2,400 feet of fence to install. 2,400 feet. So that being said, anybody that's watching this right now, you can help this event by looking in your local area. As long as it's relatively close to Pennsylvania. Okay, I need as many 11-foot fence rails as we can get. Okay, and posts. Okay, now I'd love to see 5 rails. I don't know if it's realistic at this point. Chris, what did you use? Did you use 5 rail or did you use 4?
Sometimes we had 3, sometimes we had 4. It's depending upon what we had and what post we had. I mean, honestly, sometimes you get 5 rail. I think most of the Strasburg Pike, if I'm remembering correctly, Mike, correct me because I could be wrong, was 3 rail. So
I think most of it was 3, but by the time the guys got done tearing it apart and dying all over it, it was mostly just a post hanging up there.
Barely, yeah. There was no rails. I just see a question. What battle were you doing for reenactors only? And that will be the Confederate Dusk Assault on East Cemetery Hill. So that will be Saturday night, starting at dusk.
Mm-hmm. So Shane, this is a good point. Without all you guys working on this, we don't have an event, and that goes for everybody. So again, we're leaning heavily on everybody to make this thing happen. Guys, the PCWA is a new organization. This is not my first time organizing a Civil War reenactment. Chris has been doing this a long time. All right, we have combined experience doing this a ton. But the problem here is, okay, we're not starting with a huge cache of money. We don't have $250K sitting in the bank. So we need you guys to register early, okay? And when you register early, guys, till January, it's $15. $15 is super cheap for a Gettysburg event. Let's be honest. What you guys have paid in the past to get into Gettysburg is a fraction. This is a fraction of what you paid to get in. Okay. And then it only goes up to $20 in January. That's still cheap. So, but get in, save yourself a few bucks, and it's going to help us out too. But keeping in mind, guys, go look at some prices. Okay. Pricing for fence. If you guys want to have this experience, we need your help. That is baseline brass tacks. If you want that fence, I need you guys to pitch in. Simple as that. If we go and we actually spend the money on this, we're looking at 20 grand just for the materials. Okay.
So,
For
I mean,
20
that's what we need help. And just like voting, register early and register often. So, the thing is, yeah, I mean, if your unit has decided to attend, register. Because, that's why we have a sliding scale of fees for registration. If you register early, you get a cheaper fee. We're trying to encourage people to get in early because it creates this beautiful thing called seed money. Seed money enables you to do what you have to do. We don't want everybody registering the last 30 days or whatever it might be.
No.
And they go, oh, dear God, how do we get all this? If you want to have, we need to have an idea of how many people to prepare for. So register early and register often.
Yeah, absolutely.
People are going to have to put in for vacation time anyway, because that's prime vacation time. So you're going to be putting, January, December, whenever you do it for work, you're going to be planning your vacation. So you might as well register. You're going.
Yeah.
But it also helps in our scenario planning. We know how many guys we have, how many battalions we have to work with. It depends how many battalions we set up and for the scenarios, how many we have. For our battle plans based on how the registrations are going. So
Jeremy, to answer your question, the dates for our event, okay, in terms of reenactors, okay, you can start setting up on Wednesday the 21st. Okay, the event itself takes place on the 23rd through the 25th. That's the first battle is Friday the 23rd. But you are welcome to come out and set up and camp for 5 days. Enjoy it. Why not? Get the most out of the experience. And when you see this land, guys, listen to me. Please hear me on this. Remembrance Day. For those of you that are going to be here in Remembrance Day, we're going to be putting out flyers. Okay. We're inviting you. The homeowners, the landowners are inviting you to come out to the property. We can host thousands upon thousands of you. If you all want to come out to the property, please do. We're going to be out there after the parade, and we're going to do a walking tour because I can't have everybody driving around the property. If there's going to be 400 cars out there, we're going to do a walking tour around the property. So make sure you do bring sneakers to kick off the brogans for this walk. Unless you want to get used to it, keep the brogans on. Yeah. But that's probably the better option, even the wool. But so of course, November is cold, so that anyway. But listen, the property is amazing. All right. But you really don't get a sense of it in the videos that I've shared and the photographs that we've taken, the pictures my wife has posted, even Chris, they're great photographs, but you just don't get a sense of it. How about it, guys? You guys have both been there several times now. When you step out there, man, it's incredible. Is it not?
Absolutely. Yep. It's the most beautiful sight I've ever seen for Gettysburg. And I think we're down to like 30 seconds to go here on this puppy. So
we can go as long as we want, but if you got to go, you got to go. So do any of you guys have questions for either Mike or Chris? If you do, put them up. All right, what do we got here? What is RDW? I don't know. So I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Shane. Hey, Lisa, you can always fly your butt in. You got a place to stay here. So she lives out in Oregon. All right. So she's all the way across I'll Remembrance Day weekend. Okay, there you go. I want to see as many of you guys out there. I want to see as many of you guys on Remembrance Day as possible. We'll be at Remembrance Day. And also, I'm going to Cedar Creek this coming weekend. So are either of you guys going to be at Cedar Creek? I don't think you're going to be. No, I didn't think so. I'm going to go down to Cedar Creek, and I'm going to take a bunch of flyers. I'm going to hand them out to the peeps, and I'm going to be talking to some of the guys who are having their meetings and things like that. the biggest thing that anybody can do right now, sharing these videos, sharing these lives, going back through, sharing past lives that we've done, getting this information out there is the most important thing you can do to help this event. And registering early, okay, and focusing on authenticity. So we're recapping here, guys, if you haven't figured this out. All right, get yourselves, start thinking about getting yourselves into decent shape, okay? This is a big property. We're not hammering anybody, but we're not body shaming. I am a fat slob. I am a 275 pound, 5'8" guy. Okay, believe me. I asked a question, still waiting on an answer. George, I told you there's things I didn't see there's questions I might have missed. I see you up here now, so go ahead and post your question. What was it? Happy with artillery so far. We will have enough to do scenarios. I'm thinking that's Rick.
It must be Rick.
Yeah, that's Rick. I have to keep my phone up because I can see their name on my phone, but I can't see them on the computer screen.
Well, guys, I do have to run because I've got work to do. But any questions, you guys know where to find me. You guys know where to hunt me down. I'm available all the time. Dustin, you can put my email up. Don't put my cell phone number up this early. But we'll do that.
I won't put your cell phone number up.
So, because this is a very, very busy time of year for me. And when there's elections in less than 30 days. So I got work to do, so I got to run. So.
Hey, thanks for jumping in today, Chris. I appreciate it, man. And seriously, from everybody at the PCWA, we sincerely do appreciate you guys being here. Honestly, thank you very much.
Thank you. Michael, behave yourself.
You too, my friend. We'll see you.
All right. Do you have a historical engineer group on staff? Actually, no, we don't. Do we?
No, not that I'm aware of.
I don't think so. Yeah, that's a good thing.
We usually spread those duties out amongst our staff. That the staff does double duties. Where like I'll have my assistant quartermaster embedded with a brigade or a battalion commander saying, okay, this is where your line needs to be for this scenario. That's normally an engineer's job, but we double up on the things like for stuff like that.
Right. Okay. All right. So Rick says he's happy with artillery responses. So the artillery registrations were the ones flooding in, and I'm assuming it's because they want to be the first to get that $250 bounty. And on that note, we are offering a $400 bounty for mounted guns. So if you're going to bring a gun that's mounted, I'm going to give you $400 for that gun. Okay. You're bringing more stuff. You're bringing more horses. We're going to give you more money to do that. So, if you're mounted and you have artillery and you're mounted, you're going to get $400. So bring them. Also, I'm offering some money for mounted teams. I'm going to offer some money, treat it like basically like artillery. If you bring a wagon and you're horse drawn, I'm going to give you like $250 to bring that. If that doesn't seem like enough, let's talk about it. I'm open to anything, but I want to get mounted stuff out here. I want ambulances. I'd like 1 or 2 ambulances, because here's, guys, after the scenarios are done, after the battles are done, we've been given permission by these landowners to continue with the scenario, like them doing medical triage, setting up a hospital. And we have great medical staff, great impressions, guys that have been doing this for a long time who are on board with this. And it's exciting. We've been given permission to dig a burial trench. I want guys. Hey, we're going to do it. So you're wounded. We're not going to just blow the taps. All right. And everyone's going to magically rise up from the dead. It's going to continue. So this is an educational thing. So there's going to be, I want your accoutrements, drop it. Make sure you put your name on things, or put a tag in there. If you don't want to write your name on something, put a tag, make sure so people can identify your gear. If you do drop stuff on the field to kind of make, keep authenticity, make the battlefield look, like a battlefield. So while these things are happening, guys are going to be getting resupplied with ammunition. If you're running out of ammo, there's going to be wagons out there that guys should be running back and forth to, supplying the guys like it would have happened. So this is an immersion event for everybody. Okay. Just because you hear us saying things like, immersion hardcore can't. No, it's not for campaigners. It's for everybody. The immersion side of this whole thing is for everybody. And that brings me back to the one point that I was going to make, that somebody asked me this question. They're like, Dustin, why do you want us to stay in period dress for the entire weekend? Because there's people that are going to be putting in a lot of effort to be out there. They're sleeping on the ground. They're staying in their uniforms. They're keeping their boots and their brogans on for the entire weekend. The least that you can do is don't walk out there with your SpongeBob SquarePants, pajamas on. It's not fair to the people that are doing it. Okay. So just keep it tight. We're not asking for this crazy amount. I don't give a crap about how much your, how many thread counts you have. That doesn't matter to me. I don't even care if it's machine sewn or hand stitch. Should you always strive for the best that you can do? Absolutely. I would love to see you come out there with the best that you can come out with. But we understand that not everybody is financially able to do those types of things. We get that. We understand these are difficult times for everybody. But okay, we are going to be enforcing these basic, simple things. Keeping in mind, this is not about me. It's not about Mike. It's not about Chris. It's not about our egos. This is about doing the right thing for the people who actually served and died during the Battle of Gettysburg. That's what this is all about. So when you don't stop getting mad at people for saying like, hey, why did you bring that stainless steel, pistol? That's not correct. Or why did you, what's all these irons around the fire? I mean, technically these irons would not have been brought with you on campaign. Hell, even in garrison, most of that stuff isn't technically period correct. Am I right or wrong about that, Mike?
No, absolutely right. Gettysburg actually is kind of unique because it's a semi-campaign event. Because they marched in with everything on their backs, but they stayed put for 3 or 4 days. So the wagons would have reached them, but they wouldn't have taken time to set up big, huge canvas walls and wall tents with tent flies and stuff. They would have had more stuff than normal than what you would see as strictly campaign, but It would still be shelter tents, shebangs, tent flies, and things like that. Yep. So it's kind of like an in-between type of deal.
Right.
It's a little bit unique.
This is a good question for you, Mike. Predetermined casualties. I'm not sure how you and Chris handle that, but there does have to be a specific number of people who take casualties. Like, think about it. The U.S. regulars, the 17th PA, when they wheeled in to the wheat field, or it's not the 17th PA, the 17th U.S. They wheeled in to the wheat field. They were met with the Georgians, I think it was, and they lost 47% of their guys in one little area of this battlefield inside the wood line. We need to reproduce that. So it's going to require taking hits. And this is how I like to see it, and maybe you can correct me on this, Mike. You have a lot more experience with this than I do. But what I think you should do is, if you go down early and you're like, man, I just got here. I want to participate in the battle. I want to burn powder like everybody else. All right. So the first, you guys, you 20, 30 guys who took the hits at the outset of the battle, don't take them later. Don't take the hits first. Let somebody else take it. You guys can kind of alternate in that aspect, so people are getting, adequate time, shooting and things like that. But that's also why we do have the tactical, you know what I mean? Okay. The tactical, you don't have to take as many hits. You're out there, you're kind of having fun and burn some powder. That's all for you guys. But we are trying to recreate this and trying to keep, the right numbers as closely as possible. So you should be taking hits, but predetermined. I don't know, Mike, how do you guys do that?
Well, a lot of that we like to leave up to the individual battalion commanders for what they want to do. And some of them will research it really deeply and have X number of casualties, across the battlefield or in this part of the battle or whatever. And they're going to, you'll hand out casualty slips. I've seen all kinds of different ways that'll be doing it. You mentioned the wheat field. We know, like, for instance, I think it was the 4th Michigan and the 62nd Pennsylvania, each took upward of 50% casualties in the wheat field. So what we'll do is make sure the battalion commanders know, you need to lose half your men in here.
Yep.
You know, and we'll let, you know, for the full effect, and we'll let them determine, you know, how they do it themselves. I'm not going to micromanage battalions for, you know,
Sure.
hits and stuff, but we will give them all a good idea. One of the things that we like to do, and that I've done a lot with my company and my battalions, if I've got guys taking hits and we're not staying there, I'll tell them. I said, look, guys, we're leaving. If you want to take your hits, but then we'll pick you back up and get you out, you know, to come back and fight later, because we're going to go back in, you know, in 20 minutes or so, then we'll just pick them up and drag them out of there. So, you know, there's a lot of different ways they do it, but a lot of it will be up to the battalions. I know the guys on the Confederate side, some of them already know how many men their regiment lost at Pickett's charge.
Right.
That stuff years ago. So
the other side of this,
they'll choreograph that out themselves.
Yeah. See, I mean, the other side of this is, you guys know, okay, that there were 6,000 casualties in the wheat field. 6,000. I mean, they literally said you could not put your foot down without stepping on a dead or wounded person. If we have numbers, we should be recreating that. There's people going to get stepped on. I'm sure it's going to suck, but you know, it's bound to happen. But hey, man, it's what happened. So I want to see that wheat field littered with bodies. I don't want to see sporadic 1s and 2s here. I want to see that littered with bodies. If we have the numbers, we should recreate it as accurately as we can.
You know, when we did Maryland, and we had so many casualties, especially the Confederates along the Hagerstown Turnpike and in through the wheat and through the cornfield, our guys who went through, the last Federal battalion that went through, were looking at all this and they were going, wow, this is amazing. So when the next battle took place that afternoon, they all stood up there and it was our turn to fall back. And they're all saying, okay, we're going to give the Confederates what they gave us. And they had guys planning on taking hits and leaving bodies all over the place, just, you know, because to reciprocate. So, the guys that really take this seriously and want to do it historical, they kind of work together on all this. And it kind of, you know, one thing leads to another. So.
Okay.
It should be, the wheat field should be really interesting.
It should be. And look, it was a clusterfuck in the beginning. The way it was a cluster.
It'll be very, very, very intense. Very close quarters, very intense. Hey,
how
Marty.
you doing, Martin? Thanks for jumping in, brother. Hey, guys, if you can, like I said before, share this out, get it into your groups, please. There's a lot of information that's been put out here. We've answered a lot of questions, and you know, I'm always here to do this for you guys as much as possible. I'm doing this because I want to make a huge difference in the hobby. The way we're doing this, we're trying to bring things, new things, okay, into an old way. So does that make sense? Like, yes, this is some stuff you've all heard a lot of this stuff before, and a lot of the immersion guys have done certain things certain ways. I want this to be for everybody. I want an immersion event for everybody. So this is going to create an experience for you guys that I'm hoping is nothing like you've ever experienced before, especially at a Gettysburg event. You know, you might have, if you've done an LR event, this is nothing new to you, because these guys go balls to the wall. They really do. Okay. And I respect that. You know, but that doesn't mean that there are mainstream people who haven't really put forth a solid effort to be good at what they're doing. There are great mainstream groups out there, but I'm so tired of the vernacular. I'm so tired of, you know, naming things like, you know, hardcore, you know, mainstream. I hate that. I don't even, when we talk about this stuff on site, I don't even let the guys talk about it, because it frustrates me. This is a Civil War reenactment, okay, where we do have a little bit higher standards than what you're used to, okay, but that's not a disqualifying factor. It's just giving you an opportunity to evaluate yourself. Evaluate your uniform, throw it on, look at it. What little changes can I make to make this better? Okay, these guys are going to be putting out scenarios. Mike's going to put out, these are the units that we are portraying. So you might want to get a 5th Corps badge, or you might want to do this, you know, or things of that nature. You might want to try to grab a Hardy hat. You've got plenty of time. Save $20 a week, get yourself a Hardy hat, you know, when you have enough money to do it. We are doing the Iron Brigade. So
blank Hardy hats are really pretty inexpensive. They really are. So, yeah, and just one other quick word about the standards. What the standards make possible is the overall experience that the guys out there are gonna have. To feel like they were part of Gettysburg, or gee, this must have been what it really must have felt like, or looked like, or sounded like. And even in this small section, that only becomes possible because you have standards, and because guys are keeping to the scenarios, and they are obeying orders, and they are doing what they were supposed to do, and carrying themselves the way that the soldiers did.
Mhm.
So it's not for nothing that we have these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing with rank structure. There's no reason to have 7 sergeants, 16 corporals, and 14 lieutenants and 3 captains and 2 privates. It looks silly. And it also looks silly. I want to fly my flag because you guys spent money on your flags. Guys, I get it. But if you're the 24th Michigan, the 24th Michigan flag is what's out there, nothing else. I mean, that's what it is. I don't want and guidons. They would have gone out there with guidons. How many guidons would have been left at Gettysburg? I don't know. But these are little details that make things look incredible. Okay, I don't want to see 33 Confederate flags and only 25 guys. It doesn't look good. It looks really just awfully farby, and there you got me to say the word. I don't say that word often, but well, it is.
Along with that, and I probably doesn't affect anybody, but I'm just going to say it anyway. We don't allow children out on the battlefield. Children did not carry guidons. Children did not carry flags. Children were not messengers. We don't take them out there. It's not authentic, and it sure as heck is not safe.
It's not.
Kids running around out there, because it's going to be nuts out there. And you heard from John, they're going to have horses all over the place. We're going to have cannons going off. All kinds of stuff going on. Pyrotechnics, yep. We don't take children out on the battlefield. We just don't. When my boys were little, I never took them out. Never. They had to stay. They camped with me. They got them uniforms and clothes, but they camped with me, but they did not go out until they were 16 years old and carry a rifle.
That's right. And that's exactly the way it's going to be here. And I know that frustrates people. I belonged to a unit that allowed that kind of stuff. And, there were times I scratched my head, and I'm not going to say who that was. I've been a reenactor since I was 14 years old. I'm 43, do the math. But it's just not going to happen here. There were some younger musicians and things like that. But really, I can't have you taking the field. It's really an insurance and a safety issue. And we really want everybody to come here and go home after having a great experience and having good memories of, the PCWA event. So that's our primary focus. So that being said, do you have anything else you'd like to add? Anything you want to, put out there?
Just one little blurb. We'll probably address it more later. But I made this great discovery, and I was real excited about it, only to find out that John Fink, who's our big researcher and expert on all this stuff, already knew it. But the road we're on, the Blackhorse Tavern Road, where we are is right where McLaws marched his men down and did the counter march when they realized that they were going to be seen from Little Round Top.
Mm-hmm.
So that happened. Some of that counter march happened right on the property we're using.
Absolutely.
So you'll have a direct historical connection. Yeah, I was so proud of myself. I found it, and John goes, "Yeah, I knew that." I'm going, "Oh, darn it."
Yeah, but I think
but John's doing a great job with all that. He really is.
Absolutely. Wasn't Yule's Corps also down? Oh, was it Yule? Who was down there at the Blackhorse Tavern?
Scott. I'm sorry, I did it again. Scott Fink. Yeah.
Scott. Yeah. Oh, Scott's an incredible researcher.
Yeah,
he's incredible, dude. The best. I'm working on a book with him. He blows my mind what this guy finds. He's a digger. I mean, he's such an incredible addition to this organization. People don't even realize the work that this guy's putting in. This event's taking off because of what Scott Fink has done. So my hat's off to them, but my entire organization, Jim, Sarah, Lisa, Lee, John, Chris, you guys are all putting it in, and it's going to show at this event. You guys do not want to miss this event. I'm telling you, there are rumors going around. I'm so tired of this whole Lady Farm bullshit. Okay, the Lady Farm is doing their thing. We are not associated with the Lady Farm. They're the week after us. They are over the anniversary week. Okay, I've got people, they're calling me all the time. Hey, we're hearing this. We're hearing this. Unless you hear it directly from myself or somebody on my staff or Mike or Chris or Scott or somebody directly associated with the PCWA, it is bullshit and don't listen to it. Okay, it is malarkey. Forget about it. All right. We are working way too hard to let people shooting their mouths off try to affect us at this event. Okay. If you haven't noticed, we are a very transparent organization. We put ourselves out here all the time on these live videos. We are keeping everybody engaged. You guys can contact me all the time. I mean, can you tell me of any time in the past you've ever been able to do that at a GAC event? Never. I've never once spoken to an event coordinator from Gettysburg, ever. Okay. We're just doing this completely different. So if you have a question, bring it directly to us. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be, directly at me. It can be anybody in the organization. Mike knows. Get a hold of Mike if you can't get a hold of me. These guys are doing their best to put on an incredible show for you guys. So register, get in there. Okay. No, I do not. Dustin does. I don't sleep. I get 3 hours. I get 3 hours of sleep a day if I'm lucky. I'm constantly going, and I'm doing it because I love this, because I have a passion for this, because it does mean a lot to me. And there's no questioning that. I think I've proven that at this point. But it's not about me. It's about them. It's about the guys who did it. We have a responsibility. It's been left to us. It's in our hands to do the best that we possibly can. So when we set standards, we're not doing it for us. We're doing it for them. Okay, so understand that it's not personal. I'm not trying to come down on you. I'm not calling you a farb. I'm not calling you. Everyone has their own circumstances, and we get it. We just want you to do the best that you can. That's all. We want you to step it up, because it's for the guys that did it for real. Okay, they didn't go home after just 3 days in the field and took their hot showers and crawled into their warm sleep number beds or whatever the hell you got. Okay, these guys lived this shit every single day of their lives for years. Quit your complaining, bitching, and moaning about, why can't I have this or what? God, it's 3 days. Oh, it's 3 days. You can survive. I promise. Challenge yourself. Okay. Our logo says honor and remembrance for a reason. Yeah. Honor and remembrance. That's what this is all about. So, guys, thank you all so much for joining me. Mike, thank you so much for being here, brother. I seriously appreciate everything that you're doing for this organization, guys. And listen, also, if you've been watching this whole time, thank you for hanging out here, guys. It's been about an hour and a half. I appreciate it. Please get this video shared out there to your groups. It's the biggest thing you could do. We need to raise money. So if you got a few extra bucks, I don't care if it's $20, go to the PCWA.org and hit that donate button and donate the $20. We appreciate it. Every dollar will be getting put towards something that is important to create the atmosphere we're trying to create for you. Okay, so please do that for us, guys. It's a very big opportunity for us here, and it's I can't even tell you how much I would appreciate it. So thank you all so much. Lisa, thank you so much for being here. We do sincerely appreciate it. Oh, how's the Wi-Fi? It's not great, but we are going to be putting we're working on this. We're putting a booster out there. Not sure. Jim Beagley's working on that. You may have to ask him how that's going to go. All right, guys. I have been to the site, and it is incredible. Dustin and his staff is doing an amazing job. Thank you. I don't know who said that. And Facebook, I can't see.
It's Facebook.
Yeah, I'm looking at my phone, but I do appreciate it. There have been a few people out there.
Just real quick. I saw the comment about the engineers and whoever posted that. We'll look at it afterwards. We get time to look at your message and talk. We are not ignoring it. We will get to you on that.
Yeah, George, we'll get you. Jeremy,
George. Yeah, we'll get you on that, George. We saw it, and I want to look at it, and we'll get you on that.
Yeah, because Mike's going to take the point. Mike's the point guy on that. So, I mean, he's your guy. So, all right, guys, thank you all so much for being here. Until next time, we will see you guys later. Thanks for being here. Take care.